couple of Grade 1 races this weekend at Gulfstream Park, the Pegasus Turf and the Pegasus Dirt. Best way to bet them? Best way to bet all the races. You know the drill. Bet them through NYRA Bets. Not a member of NYRA Bets? Head on over to NYRABets.com. We'll match up to $200, your initial deposit. Support racing. Keep the money in the game. Support racing in New York. Play through NYRA Bets. The Pegasus Turf is race 11 of the 12-race card this Saturday at Gulfstream Park. And Colonel Liam, a 3-year-old, some may remember from running at Saratoga. He won his turf debut at Saratoga. Bit of a rough trip in the Saratoga Derby. He came back in a fairly modest Tropical Park Derby, but he was dominant. This race was just 4 weeks ago, or 4 weeks before the Pegasus. And even though he didn't beat horses necessarily of the caliber of the field that he's meeting on Saturday, not that Saturday's field is that strong, he was very impressive. You don't see horses win turf races that fastly, especially horses didn't have particularly good trips. Not like a lot of horses made up ground. He was wide the whole way, and he just dominated a bunch of overmatched horses. The competition does get steeper, but I do think there's an argument Colonel Liam may be the horse to beat. There are other players in here, though. A horse coming from California, another Twist of Fate. Some people may remember this horse from the Triple Crown races of 2019, feels like a long, long time ago. Well, another Twist of Fate has really taken the turf, and he ran exceptionally well in his turf debut when he finished 4th, which I'll get to. This was his next after the San Gabriel. This is his second turf race, and as you can see, he just buries the field here. Now, once again, he's another horse that's meeting better horses, though Next Shares, who finished a distant 3rd, he draws the rail in here. He'll be a long shot. Another Twist of Fate won fairly easily. Joe Rosario's riding him. He'll have mounts in both of the races. And his Del Mar race was very good because he went to the lead, he let another take it, and then he sort of re-rallied in a race where the pace completely fell apart. It's an effort that's much better than it looks, and I think another Twist of Fate might actually be the horse to beat in this race. Todd Pletcher doesn't just have Colonel Liam. He's also got L'Argent, who comes out of a race where Breaking the Rules also ran that race. He's the 2. And they finished 1st and 3rd, but I don't want any part of either of these horses. First of all, I don't think Breaking the Rules is going to be efficient going 1 mile and 3/16. I don't think the distance is necessarily an issue for L'Argent. I think talent is. This is a race that looks a lot different on paper than it actually was. It featured a very, very strong contested pace that completely and totally fell apart. And I think these were slightly lower quality horses. Once again, it's not that strong a field, but L'Argent was really able to take advantage of circumstances to upset that race, and I don't really like his chances in here. Another horse who's coming into this race off his best effort, and that race was at Aqueduct, is North Dakota, where he won our Red Smith. I should say he upset our Red Smith at almost 9-1. You cannot get a better trip than he got under Jose Lezcano in this race, saving ground, making the move at the last second in a race that really fell apart when the runaway speed fell apart. And probably the 3rd-place finisher was best in here, being forced to move early. North Dakota would have to improve to win this race, as he got such a delicious setup and a great trip. On the other hand, he is an improving horse for a good trainer in Shug McGaughey. The problem really isn't that as much as the distance. I think North Dakota may be a horse that's flourishing at the longer distances, and we cutting back to 1 mile and 3/16, I don't know that necessarily suits his talent level. The question is, are there other players in this race? Well, I think Say the Word has to be looked at, but he may be another horse, much like North Dakota, that does better in the longer distance races. I thought his race in the Hollywood Turf Cup, where he finished 3rd, was excellent. Nobody else made up significant ground. He was running in the stretch. Seems to be a horse that hit his stride late in his 5-year-old season. Now, we did see him win a race at this distance at Saratoga last summer, but this is a tougher field, but he has improved. I don't think he's absolutely impossible. And I have one long shot I wanted to mention, and that's the 7 Aquaphobia. Even though he's had success in some longer races, I wonder if he's a horse that might actually appreciate the cutback, as he goes out for Mike Maker, who upset this race last year with Zulu Alpha. I like another Twist of Fate. I think he might be the best horse in this race. I like him over Colonel Liam. I believe they are the 2 best horses in this race. They're my top 2 picks. Aquaphobia, the long shot, I'll have him in 3rd. I'll use him a little bit. Got to try to get a price in there somewhere. And the 11 Say the Word wouldn't shock me if he ran well in the Pegasus Turf. Now, the Pegasus Dirt, the race formerly known as the Don Handicap. Well, the Pegasus Dirt you've got a horse who may have been one of the most impressive winners we saw all Breeders' Cup weekend, and that was Knicks Go, where he easily defeated Jesus' team or Jesus' team when that horse was able to pick up the pieces. But Knicks Go, he dueled with a talented Complexity who would have won this race by open lengths if Knicks Go hadn't been there, and Knicks Go probably would have won by more if Complexity wasn't in there. He's been brilliant since he was switched to Brad Cox's barn. There is no way to knock him. And 2 of those wins were at 1 16. So the question is he going to be effective at 1 1/8 at Gulfstream? I think he's way the horse to beat. I'm a little bit dubious of him, but I will say something. He is loose in here. Anybody who wants to run with this guy better have their running shoes on. So he's going to go. Joel Rosario, strong hand in both of these races. He rides Knicks Go, and he is absolutely the horse to beat. Now, we'll see what Code of Honor has in this race. I picked him second, as you'll see in my picks at the end, because I still have some faith. But at the end of the day, I didn't love his effort in the Clark last time. And Coastal Defense is down on the rail, by the way. He's the horse in blue, and the comment on him was unprepared start. Well, I have no idea what they're talking about. But then again, I never know what the charts in Kentucky are talking about. Code of Honor, he's supposed to win this race. I thought he got an excellent ride by John Velasquez, put him in the game, angled out in the stretch. He just wasn't good enough. And it seems like overall, the Code of Honor that was so good as a 3-year-old never really showed up as a 4-year-old. There were hints. I thought his second Complexity in the Kelso was good. His first race was solid. But overall, he's been a bit of a disappointment still. If you think this race is going to come apart, it's hard to make a strong case for another closer in this race. Now, another horse that's going to be forward in this race is the number 7, Tax. We saw Tax run second in our Discovery last year to Performer, who's running earlier on the card, and he was an impressive winner of his prep for this race, the Harlan's Holiday, and that was coming off a 7+ month layoff. He was good. No doubt about it. Ran a fast figure, and a repeat of that performance probably makes him the second likeliest winner here. A couple of things, though. Looking at the races at Gulfstream that day, I think being an inside speed was to his advantage. So I think he's a bit dressed up. Also, other than Fat Man, who finished third, the competition was severely lacking in the Harlan's Holiday, and I don't think that Fat Man really ran his best race. Tax is going to have to chase Knicks Go, deal with that one, somehow put him away and hold off closers. I'm a little bit skeptical. He's not impossible, but I don't really love his chance in this race, though he is in the mix for me. The number 1 Sleepy Eyes Todd actually interests me in here. I understand when he won the 1 1/8 Charlestown Classic around 3 turns, he was able to get the lead and control on the front end, and that's clearly not going to happen here. And his closing wins have come in 1 turn, 7 furlong type races. So going a 1 1/8 without getting the lead is a real question. But he is a horse that can rate comfortably. I thought his effort in the Mr. Prospector was very good last time, making the first move, holding off Frenzy Fire, easily leading horses like Mind Control. The race before that, the Lafayette, he was able to make up a ton of ground. He beat True Timber, who came back and won the Cigar Mile in his subsequent start. So I think this horse has been facing some legitimate competition. He draws extremely well on the inside, while a horse like Code of Honor draws very poorly towards the outside. And he's going to be a bit of a price. I do think Knicks Go's the horse to beat. I do think Code of Honor can win. I won't be shocked if Tax is able to get it done. The rest of them, I just don't think the rest of them are good enough. Maybe Jesus' team could be able to pick up some pieces at the end. But I didn't really want anybody else, and I just wanted to take somebody that would be at least a little bit of a price. So down the rail with Jose Ortiz, Sleepy Eyes Todd, my top choice. Put Code of Honor second. He and Knicks Go are the likeliest other horses in here. Knicks Go probably still the horse to beat. And I have Tax fourth. I don't have any wildly clever ideas in either one of these races, but the Pegasus races this Saturday at Gulfstream Park, races 11 and 12 of their 12-race card. And as always, the best way to play those races and all races is to play through NYRA Bets. Head on over to NYRABets.com. If you're not a member, we will offer you a $200 match bonus. We'll match with $200 your initial deposit. Use the promo code MATCH200. Sign up for NYRA Bets. Keep the money in the game.